Hey, this is Subspace Transmissions. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Cam.
Cam, on the latest episode of the podcast, we're doing a little thing called Section 31, The Spy Who Phased Me. What does that even mean?
It sounded cool at the time.
Okay, well, fair enough. Well, we are comparing a lot of the big spy organizations across all of Star Trek, but I think we actually have kind of an intriguing question that we're going back and forth a little bit on the podcast. But from each series, who would make, I guess, the best spy or Section 31 operative? We know that they tried recruiting Julian Bashir. That didn't work so well, but why don't we go back to the original series, Cam?
Yeah.
Who would make for the best and who would make for the worst Section 31 operative, in your opinion?
Okay, I'm going to start with worst. I think Spock would be terrible.
Okay.
Because, Spock does not lie. He is actually really bad at it, as we saw in Star Trek 4. And so I just picture him being put in a position where he's supposed to be, undercover. And they're like, "Are you an undercover operative?" He's like, "Yes." Whereas, I think Kirk may be okay. I look at an episode like the Enterprise incident, where he's going undercover as a Romulan. He's willing to put one over on his entire crew and make them all think he's, unhinged.
Yeah.
And he pulls it off.
And look, we already find out that these people are really into cosmetic surgery, all these spies. So look, he's got the ears going on. So yeah, works for me. Maybe he's no Arn Darvin just yet, but he could get there. Why don't I go over to Next Generation? I think the worst spy that could be recruited by Section 31, Wesley. I just don't think anyone's going to take seriously like a 14-year-old kid if he's trying to do an interrogation. Or it could actually work out quite well, because what Obsidian Order agent would want to interrogate a 14-year-old kid and really put him through the ringer? That could be tough.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the Obsidian Order would be willing to, though.
Actually, that's a very good
They probably
point.
would be.
Yeah, okay, so with regards to who would make for the best spy, I honestly think that Data would.
I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna maybe say Riker or Picard, and then I'm thinking of Gambit, and I'm like, they were really hammy.
No.
I think anyone could see through that.
But with regards to Data, well, A, he couldn't lie.
Right.
B, how do you interrogate him? You can't.
Yeah.
C, I think he could be good at sussing out intelligence quite well. Mm-hmm. I think that he would actually just pass off for a pretty good spy. And we also saw in Unification that if he wants to disguise himself as a Romulan, he can do so quite well. And we all know that these spies like their cosmetic surgery.
No, that's a good call. I wonder if Geordi might work, because Geordi is kind of a aloof personality. He's tough to pin down. Now, how much of that has to do with bad writing or inconsistent writing versus actual characterization?
Sure.
That's up for debate. But I mean, Geordi is a character who can hide his emotions very well. He's not going to have a tell on his face.
Although we do know that in Star Trek Generations, he was a spy for Lursa and B'Etor, unwillingly, but never saw those visors after that.
If he was manipulated like Bashir was, for example, I mean, Geordi could be pretty good.
Yeah. Why don't we go into Deep Space Nine, Cam? Who would make for, I guess, the worst spy on board the station? We've got actually some good obvious picks.
Jake Sisko.
He could. He tried to be a bit of a spy for the Federation News Service when he was serving aboard Terok Nor during the occupation.
Right.
He wasn't so bad.
No.
Is it just that there's too many constitutionally tough people aboard that station that it would be, I don't know, tough to pick out a bad one?
Yeah, I'm actually racking my brain as to who would really stink at it. And yeah, Jake Sisko's the fun answer. Or really any of the Ferengi would probably be pretty iffy. Yeah, I don't think Quark would be particularly great.
Yeah.
But in terms of the general crew, I think it's more of the question is who would be the best, because you see a lot. You look at O'Brien, and he went undercover as a criminal for a number of episodes. It was fairly effective at that. We've seen Sisko is willing to do some pretty edgy things on behalf of the Federation. Kira, of course, has a terrorist background. Odo's a shapeshifter. He would be pretty fantastic. Although Odo's really, really strict moral code, so he might be a little bit tougher to wedge in there. Jadzia has all of these lifetimes to help guide her.
Maybe she was a spy in a previous lifetime.
Oh, maybe that's a good call. I don't know. Who strikes you as the best?
I would go back to Sisko. I just think that he's got that constitution with him that it didn't quite work out with Julian, though, but I think it would with Ben. And I think Ben was a little bit jealous after Inquisition when he found out that Julian was being recruited for Section 31.
Yeah.
And he's trying to live vicariously through Bashir. He's like, you know what, if they come back to you, say yes. Say I will go for it there.
Right.
So why don't we go to Star Trek Voyager, though? I think amongst the worst spies, Neelix, is there much dispute over that? Or do you think the Doctor would be just
Neelix did go undercover though that time looking for a map.
Oh, and Fair Trade?
Yeah, and he was okay.
He's okay. Yeah.
I actually think maybe the worst would be Harry Kim. He's very awkward.
That's true.
Very, very awkward.
Yeah.
And the best, you think?
I would actually make an argument for Chakotay. I know that sounds a little bit out there, but look, he's started the Starfleet, went to the Maquis, went back to Starfleet. We know that he's flexible when it comes to what he believes in, so I think he's obviously trained himself well in combat. He knows how to pilot a shuttle. I think he could actually do quite well within Section 31. What about you?
Well, I think of, the Maquis characters that came over, he does make the most sense. Like, I don't think B'Elanna Torres would be particularly good. And Tom Paris, I think would also be pretty... He's known for being a little petulant. Sure. So I don't think he would be the best either. I think 7 of 9 has potential, but I do question how much of that would be by choice, wanting to be recruited by Section 31 versus being manipulated the way that maybe Data would be too.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Enterprise. Let's look at it. We know that Reed was briefly in it, and it didn't really work out very well for him. He chose loyalty over his captain. I don't know if there's that many choices here. My pitch, though, is that maybe Mayweather's been a Section 31 operative this entire time. Yeah. That's why he's just kind of been a wallflower. He didn't want to draw attention to himself. Yeah. So maybe Mayweather's actually the best Section 31 operative that ever existed in Star Trek.
He can go so deep undercover that no one even knows he's there.
Yeah, exactly.
And who would be the worst?
I don't know. Like, that's tough. Like, does anybody seem like absolutely awful at doing this particular role?
I don't know that Phlox would strike me as being particularly good for this. I don't know that a doctor... I mean, I know Bashir was in Section 31, but it strikes me doctors, there's a real issue with them being in Section 31 just because of their strong moral code. And there's too much compassion there. And I just think if Phlox is being asked to, commit genocide, for example, or something like that, he's going to be like, no.
Okay. Well, we know that's one Dr. Pollard from Star Trek Discovery. Maybe that means she's not going to be a great Section 31 operative. We also know that's off the table for Dr. Wilson Cruz, I should say.
Dr. Culber?
Dr. Culber.
Yeah.
And but we also know that Ash Tyler made perhaps the worst spy in Star Trek history. Didn't work out for him. We are Starfleet, a.k.a. Burnham.
No way.
She's not going to do it. Lorca,
he would have been amazing.
Could have done it, perhaps.
Yeah. Maybe Prime Lorca, he'll come back.
If Prime Lorca's back, he's with Section 31, perhaps. Sure. So, I don't know. I think the pickings are a little slim. Who would you like to see? Because we also know that Emperor Georgiou is perhaps getting in bed with Section 31.
Yeah, I mean, Stamets is an interesting one to consider. He does definitely have a little bit of that icy resolve. Like, you can see him being really cool under pressure, but I don't see him necessarily playing well with the motives of Section 31. We saw him really pushing and back against Lorca, for example, over using his technology for discovery. So I don't know that he would be really following in line with what Section 31 wants.
But I would say if somebody wanted to recruit Stamets, they would say, hey, you want to get vengeance on the Klingons that killed your partner, Dr. Culber?
Yeah.
Here's the opportunity to do that.
I think we can agree Tilly would probably be the worst.
Yes,
unless it's Killy.
After Ash Tyler, then Tilly.
Yeah, but the best. It's a tough one. I think probably Prime Lorca if he exists, and I guess Stamets.
Okay. Yeah. Well, why don't we buy our black badges from the Star Trek store, and we'll get going on our own Section 31 cosplay soon enough.